three Sheilos that have to do with this week's Parsha, but since I wasn't here last week, so we'll do Parsha Shmois. There was a woman that used to call me many times for Sheilos, and after this Sheilos, she never called me again.
But you got the answer?
Yeah.
Obviously not the answer.
Is that understandably, or you don't know?
So, I tell my wife a lot of times these situations are a win-win situation. If I can guide a person the right way, then we're a winner. And if I can't guide them in the right way, and then they stop calling me, again, I'm a winner.
Either way.
So the funny thing is that this woman who used to call me all the time for Sheilos, and she called me about this Shaila. So she said that they had a hard time conceiving, and then Baruch Hashem she had a baby girl, and then she Baruch Hashem was able to conceive another time, and it was a boy, and she was really excited. And as they got closer to the end of the pregnancy, I forgot what it was. There was a chashash. It wasn't for sure that there was a defect in the heart, which is possible to operate on. But the doctor advised her to abort the baby.
For what reasons?
Because why have the risk of having a child with
Because we do it in the hospital. That's what the hospital I work for. Is we do it kids who have heart defects. So
right? No, but the doctor advised her that she could just do an abortion, just go again, do another round.
From a rabbinical side, it's okay to do that?
Oh, that's what I'm going to talk about right now.
Okay, because I had some issues with that.
So that was the problem. The problem was that I didn't get to the point of saying it's absolutely forbidden, because it's a very painful question, and I wasn't going to answer it so quickly. But I did ask a few questions, and I asked if she can go back to the doctor and come back with some information. When she called back, she was really upset that rabbis shouldn't be telling women what to do with their bodies. You know, the doctors are getting paid. The rabbis are not. I mean, I think usually you should follow the money. When No, she was a fine lady, but the doctor said that when she came to the doctor asking him certain questions, that the rabbi asked for clarification, the doctor got agitated and said, "Who are you asking these questions?" He said, "The rabbi asked these questions." "Oh, what did the rabbi do? The rabbi told you what to do with you."
Sensitive, right? Yeah, it's true.
So I didn't say anything to the woman. She was upset, so I said, "Fine, okay." Right. But I'm just telling you that b'chlal, you should follow the money. I mean, I wasn't. This woman had no shaykhs to the shul, and her husband had no shaykhs to the shul, and she was always asking shaylas, and she was getting guidance. It was free of charge. The doctor, I'm sure, was not free of charge.
No, definitely not.
So anyway, so I figured today as a shaykhs to this parsha, so we'll look a little bit into this question. And now we have with us a doctor whose this question is relevant to him.
Yes.
So that you're here today.
Good topic. Good topic.
Good to have you every week.
Thank you. Toda. Thank you.
So the Gemara says like this. The Gemara says, it's a Gemara in Sanhedrin of Nun Zayin. The Gemara says, Mishum Rabbi Shmuel Amru. They said in the name of Rabbi Shmuel. The Gemara talks about the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. Af ala ubrin, that a ben Noach is chayiv misa if he kills a fetus, that's in the a baby in the mother's womb. My time it, Rabbi Shmuel. What's the reason Rabbi Shmuel? The Ksiv, it says in the pasuk, "Shofech dam adam be'adam dama yishofech." That the Abisha said to the nations of the world, the laws. And one of the laws is that shofech dam adam ba'adam dama yishafech. If a person kills, he shall be killed. But the choice of words are interesting. Shofech dam adam ba'adam. He killed. It should say shofech dam adam. He spills a man's blood.
Right.
He spills a man's blood in a man.
Wow.
There is a man in a man. What's the shot? Man here doesn't mean male or female. It means a human being. Shofech dam adam ba'adam means that there is a fetus in the mother's womb.
Right.
So it's dam adam ba'adam. And even that's considered shvichas damen. Ezo adam shuba adam havaim as uber should be meimoy. And that's the way it's passed in Halacha, the Rambam and Perek Tes and Hilchos Malachim. Huh? Yeah, the chayiv misa. Now a Jew is not chayiv misa. So there's a moedike marsha, and then I saw that the Chassam Sofer says it with extra lumdus, and it's actually brought in the Yalkut Man Loya's beautiful chidush. So marsha says in the Parsha, the Pare said to the women, Shifra and Pua, Yocheved and Miriam, Vayom beyaletchen es ivriyos verisem alav noyim im benhu v'mitenoisim im basi v'choy. That when the mother is sitting on the avnoim where they give birth, so you will see if it's a boy you should kill the boy, if it's a girl you should let the girl live. So it says the Mashah Murad Kavart. He says because the party was a lamb, he knew that a ben noyach is killed for shevach dam adam ba'adam, for killing a fetus in the mother's womb, but a Jew is not killed for killing a baby in the mother's womb. So he said, that's why he said to the Ibrios, he called Shifrum Pua, because the Mitzrayos, he can't tell them that. But he said, that's why he says, the Gemara in Soita says, Alav Noyim means before the baby gives birth, he gave them a siman, how you know that the baby is about to be born. And he said because the lady's legs get very cold right a moment before the baby's born. And then he said a siman how to know if the baby about to be born, if he's a boy or a girl. So why does he have to give them a siman before the baby is born? When the baby will be born, they'll take out the baby and they'll kill the baby. What does the mother know? They'll choke the baby. No, because then he understands it's chayiv misa. But he said that you are Jewish. I'm going to give you a siman before the baby is born, and you can kill the fetus. Murder the kavod. And based on how's party such a lam? The problem is party that we have today also people that are big lamdonim like party, and they go around saying that it's permissible for Jews too, because based on this it sounds like it's permissible. The truth is it's very complex, and the bottom line is that doing abortion for a baby, especially later in the pregnancy, if it's not, now we'll talk about it, it depends. If it's for the mother's safety, this is one thing, but if it's not for the mother's safety, the mother's 100% safe, not a question of the mother, not a question of the mother's safe and sound. The question is that now they found out the baby has Down syndrome, or the baby has an issue, and the mother says, why deal with it? Just do an abortion. So for this, there's a machloikis, and there are those that are quick to say, like Paroi, they're quick to say that this is permissible. And then there are many poskim that say that chas v'sholom it's not permissible. A Jew is not killed for it, but it's not permissible to do. So Paroi was wrong. It's not permissible to do. A Jew is not going to be chayiv misa for it, but it's not permissible to do. It's also to do. How do we know this? So let's look at the next paragraph.
Rabbi, they have a big organization in Israel, Efrat.
Right. Very nice organization.
Unbelievable what they're doing. Unbelievable. Everybody has to...
Right.
On the radio everybody can hear.
Right. Very nice thing.
Yeah.
Right. So now let's look at the Rambam in Hilchos Ritzayach. Next paragraph. The Rambam says in Hilchos Ritzayach, the first chapter, Avzu mitzvos loitasei shalelochu sal nefesh haroidev. It's forbidden to have pity on the person who's a roidev. A roidev is someone who's running after someone else to kill him. A woman that is having a hard time giving birth. So now her life is in danger. You're allowed to kill the baby because the baby is considered a roidev to the mother. So you can kill the baby with medicine or with your hand, doesn't matter. Once the baby put his head out of the woman's body, you're not allowed to kill the child. Because there's a question who should live. So you can't make the summary decision between two human beings. You can't make the choice that one should live and one should die. It's also for you to make that choice. That's what the Rambam says. So a lot of Meforshim have a problem here. Why is it that when the fetus is in the mother's womb, you're allowed to kill the fetus, and once the head is out, you're not allowed to? What's the difference? Is he a roidev? Is he not a roidev? Right. So therefore, there is a very simplistic pshat that some Meforshim say
that the mother.
No, it is. The Rambam says if it's sakana for the mother is going to die. If it's sakana, so if the head is still in, you're allowed to kill the baby. Once the head is out, you're not allowed to. So Mefarshim say because when the head is still in, that the fetus doesn't have a din of a child yet. It's not a living thing, and therefore it's a mutter to kill it. So therefore, this is the logic behind those that say that it's mutter under certain circumstances to do an abortion for this baby. However, there is a beautiful shtickle in Reb Chaim Alevi. Reb Chaim Brisker has a beautiful shtickle to emphasize this Rambam, which brings the Rambam back into the realm of pshat, because their pshat is like this. That's not in the words of the Rambam. It's not what the Rambam says. The Rambam says it's mutter to kill the baby in the mother's womb because it's a roidev. They say no, because the fetus is not like the old joke. When does the fetus become viable? When if it's a Jewish mother, she'll tell you when the baby graduates from medical school.
No, when it becomes a lawyer or a doctor.
So b'meila, this is a kruma pshat because it doesn't go in the words in the Rambam. But the Reb Chaim Brisker and the Reb Chaim Alevi has a beautiful pshat in the Rambam. He says basically the nakuda is like this. He says that when you kill this baby, it's not the din of pekuach nefesh. It's a special din that has the Torah says that roidev is a mitzvah to kill a roidev. It's a special thing, and that's why it applies also to a goy. The din of pekuach nefesh don't apply to a goy, but a roidev, the Gemara says, applies also to a goy. It's a special mitzvah. The Torah says if you see someone with a gun running after someone else, there's a mitzvah to go kill the killer. It's not because pekuach nefesh.
Even if he's trying to kill a goy.
Well, I'm not talking about it. I'm talking one goy and the three goyim. Goy 1 is trying to kill Goy 2, so Goy 3 has to kill Goy 1.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. Why? Because that's a special mitzvah in the Torah. So now the Gemara says that once the baby puts his head out, mishamayim korot filei, that now it's not the baby that's really the roidef after the mother. From heaven they're roidef after the mother. So he says that's a pshat. The pshat is that when the baby's in the mother's womb, it's not tiva shaloilam. It's tiva shaloilam. The Eibishter made that sometimes while the mother gives birth, that it dies. So the baby's not the roidef. It's kilu God is the roidef here. So you don't have the right to make a decision who should live and who should die.
That's right.
But when the baby's still in the mother's womb, that's not mishamai karot fala. The baby's now the roidef. The baby's now, because that's not the regular thing.
How's that possible?
Huh?
The baby's not. How could the baby be called a roidev now and not later?
So that's why the Gemara says that's tiva shaloilam. The Eibishter made tiva shaloilam that while the baby's coming out, sometimes the baby lives and sometimes the mother lives. Most of the time, both live, but sometimes, Rachman al-Islam, one lives and one dies. So therefore, you can't call the baby a roidef. But when the baby is still in the mother's womb, that's not tiva shaloilam. It's not tiva shaloilam that the baby should, because usually while the baby's in the mother's womb, the mother is not in danger. Pregnant, the baby's pregnant. She might like some extra pickles and ice cream, but the baby is not a roidef to the mother.
Yeah,
so now that this is...
The tiva shaloilam changed. I mean, it used to be 100 years, a while ago, if a baby was born in the 6th month, couldn't survive.
Right.
It could survive.
Some things change, but the Rambam says that whatever is in Torah Shabbat and Torah Shabbat, for example, the Rambam says the 70 things that the Chazal say if a cow will have a disease that will not recover from it, will die for sure. The Rambam says if today doctors will figure out that one of these 70s are curable, and there happens to be a different disease that is uncurable, it doesn't change. The halachas of treifas of these 70, no more, no less, and it doesn't change. Same thing here. Lapoil, this doesn't change because the Torah says that tiva shaloilam is that once the baby goes out, so there could be that one will live and one will die. So the baby is not called a roidef. But when the baby's in the mother's womb, that's not tiva shaloilam. So now the baby's a roidef, so therefore you're allowed to kill it. That's the pshat for Reb Chaim Brisker. Based on the pshat of Chaim Brisker, so you don't have a Rambam. The Rambam is not telling you that a fetus is not viable. On the contrary, fakir, it's mashra from the Rambam that he is a living person, and that's why he has the din of a roidef. Not a living person, there's no din of a roidef. If you say a rock is flying and is about to kill someone, you have a chiyuv to save your friend. So you say, but now there's a mitzvah. The rock is a roidef. The rock is a rock. The mitzvah of killing a roidef is only when the roidef is a human being. On the contrary, from the fact that the Rambam calls the fetus a roidef, it sounds like the Rambam holds that the fetus is a child. a Jew is not chayiv misa for killing. That's exactly the cause. The Eibishter said that when you kill a fetus outside the mother's womb, a regular person, you're chayiv misa for it. And if it's a mother's womb, you're not chayiv misa, but still a isser etzicha. So therefore,
they made the Iron Dome, the missiles are right. Not the Arabs.
So therefore, bottom line, just two of the big poskim today in America. One is Rabbi Menashe Klein, and one is Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, Aleim Hashalom, Zechronim Levrocha, they wrote extensive tshuvas saying it's unequivocal that it's also. It's also. Other poskim say it's not so simple. Other poskim hold it's muta. As I said, in this woman, it wasn't just about a Down syndrome question. It was a question that maybe it's a defect in the heart of Rahman al-Islam. So it means that, without medical intervention, maybe the child is not going to live.
Sure.
Okay, so therefore I asked a few questions. Is it sure? What are the chances? I asked several. I had a list of a few questions.
The child's not a roidev.
And the
Child's not a roidev.
that's what I'm saying. The child is maybe not a roidev. Who says the child is a roidev? But maybe the child is going to be without super medical intervention is like dead. So I asked a few questions. I just asked a few questions. The doctor got so irritated, he convinced this lady that the rabbi is out to get her. The doctor is her best friend. The doctor who's
But
getting
if
paid.
it was a religious doctor, he will understand the rodef and all these things.
I don't know if he was a religious doctor or not.
We don't know.
But
That's why she didn't call you.
so that's it. So from then on, I never had any more Sheilos from this woman. Actually, I recently bumped into her husband in Pomegranate. He smiled to me. We spoke a little bit. And Baruch Hashem, she's doing well. I don't know what. I think she did go through with the abortion, Rahman al-Islam. But anyway, I didn't ask any questions. So. As I said, Pari Paskins one way, but seems like Moshe Feinstein and another Paskin Paskin that Pari is wrong. His lumdus was cute, but they're wrong. Second question. Someone asked in the shul, and he's not here now. He asked me a few weeks ago, and he's always here for the shir. No. So he asked about a prenuptial agreement, if it's kosher or not kosher. There is today in there's the RCA as an organization is pushing very strongly that every dov to be Masada Kedushin, it's as if it's a mitzvah Sasei Raisa. It's to make sure that every couple signs a prenuptial agreement. Now, there is a concept of prenuptial agreements that have to do with financial things. I don't want to deal with that. That's bachalal. That's usually kosher v'yosher. Two people have a financial deal as dovish v'momen. Unless you're trampling on the chiyuv of the Torah. The Torah says the husband has certain obligations to the wife and the wife to the husband. Your person can't get married and say, for example, we get married, but the condition is I don't sleep with you. I only sleep with you only twice a year. You can't make such tanoim. Torah says, you should
go be a sailor.
He could do that. He could do that and marry 4 women and he'd sleep with only once in 4 years.
So why the Torah said, "V'davak ish beishto v'hayu leguf echad"? Why the agreement? Why the
for money you can make all kinds of funny agreements. But now I don't want to talk about money agreements. I just want to talk about one type of agreement, which is that this is not something that started with the RCA today. This thing has been a Sheilos of Tshuvas. There is over 6,000 tshuvas on this issue. And it's going back not from 50 years, but going back hundreds of years. Don't think the RCA are the first people who thought about this brilliant idea.
Goes back so long.
Yeah. And therefore, there's a rich history of Sheilos of Tshuvas about this. Bottom line is that the idea of here is like this. That because there are people that there's a chshad, that maybe when the marriage dissolves, a person will hold back the woman from giving a get. So before they get married, they sign an agreement. And this is the type of agreement that's going to bite him really hard if he doesn't give a get. For example, he signs an agreement that if he's not going to give a get, so then he forfeits his house, or his money, or the court could do this, or the judge could do that. All kinds of...
$200 a day.
Huh?
I think it's $200.
What does it? He's going to have... Yeah. There's all kinds of things.
150 or 175.
Right. So there's all kinds of...
Depends on your plan. In the case of it's a difference that you can't reconcile. Irreconcilable difference. Meaning the prenup, only goes into effect if it was one party decides
No, the prenup. The
is
prenup is when the RCA's prenup is that when the RCA tells him to give
really?
a get,
Oh, they're the arbiter in this case?
what?
They're the arbiter?
Yeah, they make
Yeah.
themselves. Yeah,
They make
that
themselves
that they are the ones that decide when it's time to
In
give
other
the
words, it's
get.
not just the wife
This is
says,
a legal
I want a
agreement.
divorce,
Yeah.
and therefore the
Legal
prenup
agreement
goes
goes in
into
court.
it.
Yeah,
No.
it's made as a legal agreement, and it's enforced in court.
They have an interest in this. They have-
Right, so they're doing it lishma. But what's the difference? The shaila is not what their intention is. Shaila is if it's kosher or not kosher. A person could be serving bacon also lishma. But shaila is if it's kosher or not kosher. So bottom line is, huh?
I know a husband would get right away because he was afraid that financially.
Oh, so that's the problem. The problem is, and that's something else. That's the problem that some people have with all gittin today in New York. But I don't want to go into that today because there's too much in that. There's some people that have a problem with every get that made today in New York because there's such a concept called the New York get law. I don't want to go into that. I want to talk about
But there's
prenup.
two get laws.
I don't want to talk about the New York get law. I want to talk about the prenup because we only have a short time. So the bottom line is that the G'dolei Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael, and America all have the same problem, which is the Torah says, "V'hoyim lo yisim tzachem be'einav, v'kosav lo sefer krisus, v'nosam biyoda." The Gemara learns two limudim. The kosav means medaitoi, and v'im lo yisim tzachem be'einav means that it has to be medaitoi. You know, you can't force a person to give a get. And if a person is forced to give a get,
עד שיגיד רוצה אני.
then the get is bottle. The get is bottle. If you force a person to give a get, the get is bottle. So people always say l'choda. So the people have a problem that the Torah is very unfair to the woman. So we can't deal with that today. But we have to deal with what the Torah says to do. Now, Lamaisa, the Torah has a lot of checks and balances in it. If you look very closely, it's not so unfair.
So the guy, remember there was a case a year ago in New Jersey, the guys that were caught torturing the man or something.
Right. Forcing.
That get would have been invalid?
Yeah.
That
So
wasn't
let's
a
learn
real
inside.
case.
Tshuva.
There was a
Rama writes in the Shulchan Aruch, Even the Ezes Mekuf Lamedalet. In Kibbul Allah of Knossos, a person that accepts upon himself a knas, im lo yagarish. If he says, if you're not going to give a divorce, he makes a condition before they get married or after they get married. They made there was a dispute and they made a deal, a contract. That if he's not going to give the get, he's going to pay $1,000. Loy mikra oinus. That's not called oinus. This is b'shem tshuva from Rabbi Maimon and other Rishonim, not the father that Rambam. That wrote in different cases that so the person said that he's going to give $1,000 if he's not going to give the get. So that's not called coercion. The Torah says he has to give it with his free will. He's giving it with his free will. Now he's being forced because otherwise he's going to lose $1,000. Okay, so let him. So he says he wants $1,000. It's nothing to do with the get. That's not called oinus. That's not called oinus. V'yesh machmirim afilu b'chai gavna. And so those are machmir. They say no. That's called being forced. That's called being forced because he's going to lose $1,000. So he's not giving a get because loy tim tzachem be'einav. He's giving a get because he's going to lose $1,000. So therefore, the halacha paskins that if you want the get to be kosher and no question on the get, you have to. That both sides have to come to an agreement before they do the get that she absolves him from giving the knas, and then he give the get. It'll be a kosher get. I get kosher. But if Lepoil they did give the get, so because the person wasn't forced, he came on his own, from his own free will, and he came and decided to make this condition. No one forced it on him. No one asked him to do it.
The wife said she won't marry him.
Good. But if no one forced him and he came on his own and he said that he wants to do it, so di'eva this kosher. Pischa Tshuva says like this: Ayin b'Tshuvas Mishkanas Yankiv Sim Alamet Ches Oidas Haget Shoyo Onus Al Pi HaKompromis. There was a compromise, an agreement. Asher mavur boish im lo yevien lo avevel gadish yiten knas charem sachem mavur sham beherich moide shlahachem bezelek hametayim. This Mishkanas Yaakov is like a backbone in all the Sheilos Tshuvas. It's in Brun Shechnarach in the Pischei Tshuva. So he said that there was a woman, and they made an agreement that there's going to be a get after 2 months or 3 months, and if he's not going to show up for the get, this father who was wealthy is going to give $1,000. So he said that this is not a kosher get. Number one, the Marsha Haven Ramod Yesh Machloikes ben Rashba Verashbatz and Kamachloikes Klal Vaikra Tola Beim Shanachno Yoida Makinim Shena Magara Shalom Tzadaknas Umagala Daita Bekach have a get meusa. The bottom line is there's no machloikes really. In the case of the Rashba, in the case of the Rashbatz, there was no machloikes. Lo yitiru Rashbatz v'rebimayim and rak b'minda didhu shekibel avaknas mitzad atzmei v'ritzoyne aposhet v'lo yizos daita metchila v'atzoif v'einu mevura b'dvorav sheyata gam k'shischar et achakach. What in the case of the Rabbi Maimon was that a person said that he's going to give a get, and if he's not going to give the get, he's going to have to pay $1,000. And then he came and he gave the get, but he never said that he doesn't want to give the get. So the Maimon said it's kosher to get. But had the person come to Bez and the Bez screaming and yelling and say, I don't want to give the get. The only reason I'm giving the get is because I don't want to lose $1,000. The Chuli Alma would have been bottled. That's the taina of the Mishkanas Yaakov. The Korva Dovid, the Lekuli Alma, Chashina Leget Miyusa. And everyone will agree that this case is called a get miyusa. The oinus moment choshev oinus l'das kol hapoiskim, because everyone agrees that there's a concept of oinus moment. Even though the Gemara says
to it in the beginning. In other words, he changed his mind.
Right. That's the opinion of the Mishkanas Yaakov. Now, when it comes to Gittin, it's a chashash if it's kosher, the Yeraisa or not. It's a very serious question. Even if others will say that that this is kosher, and there's a lot of shades of gray that the Shechnarach says if a person gives an arvus metchila. So there's a difference if a person put down $1,000 before they got married, and he gets back his $1,000 after he gives it the get. But yeah, so that some poskim say is like talyu v'zoven. A person they hang him up and they say you're going to die unless you take the $1,000 to sell your house. The Gemara says the sale is a sale. But some argue, they say that doesn't apply by a get. By a get you need a higher level of agreement from the husband, because the Torah says it has to be that he says lo simtzachem be'einav. By talyu b'zoven, as long as he was not forced. Okay, we say because he already got the money, but others say in this case is nish gefährlich, that if the husband is getting $1,000 b'shas a divorce, he's getting his deposit back, it's kosher. But in the case where he's going to have to pay money, he's paying a knas, that's not talyu b'zoven. That's not talyu b'zoven. Talyu b'zoven means they hang him up, they say you're going to die. But if you want to come off the tree, take the $1,000, sell your house. This guy in the most of the prenups is not that he put down money before. It's going to be a knas for later.
Rabbi, the question is, when they're making ketubah today nowadays, they said, I'm giving $100, and then I give you another $100 extra. Now, if you said, okay, if I get divorced, I give $1,000. This is part of it.
So there is a trick. There is. I have here a beautiful article. There is a beautiful article here from Rabbi Elio Bakshidaro. It goes through the history of all the tricks that there are. There are certain tricks that they do, which L'moshel the RCA, they say, no, they're not paying a knas. Person says that after a certain point, instead of after a certain point, he's paying for her lunch, not $1.50 a day, but $150 a day. All of a sudden, she has to eat caviar for lunch and lamb for supper. As always the
Fancy
deal.
lunch.
Yeah. And Lamai, if he gives a get, she's mevater on those mezoinas. But as I said, this is a very sensitive issue, and down to the last, the problem is that is the person really mask?
What he said. With the value of the ksuba, it's not.
No. I'm not answering this question. I'm telling you that one of these there's a lot of prenups. A lot of tricks. Elamai, the bottom line is that Rabbi Yashiv said one of his nakudas was that these tricks are only they're good tricks in the book. He said the chosin doesn't know what he's signing it. Chosin weiß gar nicht. Chosin is very happy, the chuppah and this. And the Voaira, you're tricking him. You're tricking him, said the Rabbi Yashiv. So therefore, Rabbi Elyashiv was against any of the prenups, even the ones that.
Spelled out in English, not written in Aramaic.
Right.
It's not only a lawyer.
It's written out very clearly. But I'm telling you, that the Rabbi Elyashiv Lepoel was against it. There are choshev rabbonim that
Times have changed also. People were more from back then. They listened to the Rav. The Rav told them to give a get. He gave a get today.
Right. Okay. I'll tell you what. I spent a lot of time when I was learning Gittin. I spent a lot of time in Botei Dinim. Now, there is in the RCA, I can't say his name. Chas v'sholom, he'll lose parnasa over this, and it's on the camera. But I asked him at the time, what do you think about the prenups? This guy is the biggest expert in Gittin in the United States of America. Mamish. And so we were sitting in the RCA and I asked him, he says, come on. He says, a person that wants to be a crook, cannot all crooks end up being a crook if they sign the prenup and they didn't sign a prenup. And a person, if you work with a person like a mensch and you work out the deal with the children, you work out everything menschlich with both sides, most of the time they'll give a get anyway. So he says he doesn't see, where the prenup is such a big atzolos nefashis. I'm talking about someone who's the biggest expert in getting in the United States.
Why doesn't he have a larger voice in the RCA?
My question
He gets paid for his job. He does. He's not the one.
He gets paid to do the opposite of what he really owns.
He gets the check. He doesn't write the check. But he is mamish mumcha otzum. And he told me he doesn't think. He says he doesn't think it works. He doesn't think it works. He doesn't think that's l'maisa. I'm just telling you what this guy says.
sounds like he's saying it's not going to help the lady of the wife, the husband's a crook. What about all the middle guys? Like he said, the guy who gets scared and just pays. All those guys. I mean, he just gives the get for
This
nothing.
guy thinks that he says he sees a lot of cases. There is a prenup, and still the get is not happening as quickly as the woman wants. And he sees a lot of cases with no prenup, and the right people get involved, and they work it out b'shalom b'shalva, that the children get to see the father and the mother the way they need to, v'chulu, and everything is worked out equitably, and the get happens.
So if they do a prenup and she never goes to Beis Din and she only takes it to court, so then the whole prenup is meaningless. It serves no purpose.
Serves her purpose.
No, it doesn't.
Gets her
The
get.
prenup is making the Beis Din the arbitrator. So it has no value.
So bottom line is the G'dolei Rabbonim think that it's not a good idea because it might be considered a get meusa, and the Torah says v'hoyim lo simtzachem be'enav. As I said, there are big Rabbonim. Yilahem asher lahem. I think the bottom line is that the Frum Rabbonim today are not doing prenups. I wouldn't marry a couple if they want to do a
It's like a
prenup.
modern wedding.
If they want to do a prenup, they can find a different Masada Kiddushin. I'm not being Masada
So
Kiddushin.
they've been very successful in pushing their agenda.
One more question, and we'll leave it at this. The Shaila is like this. There's a Yid in this shul that always asks me, do you do Tikkun Chatzos? He doesn't daven here anymore, so I can't. He's always telling me, I'm telling you, you have to do Tikkun Chatzos, you have to do Tikkun Chatzos. So I said to myself once, you know what? Maybe he's right. Maybe this guy's right.
Tried it.
So I sat down, I did Tikkun L'Rochel, Tikkun Leah, I did the whole Tikkun Chatzos, and afterwards...
With ashes, with everything?
No, you don't have to do that. You just sit in the ground. And then I said to myself, I don't know. It didn't have its desired
Didn't
effect.
feel his...
Didn't
By the way,
feel
the
anything.
Rebbe in the Siddur,
So-
the Rebbe Shalom, the Tikkun Chatzos was like a line of letters.
I don't know. I'm just telling you. I tried it once, and it didn't work.
You sat on the floor. And
I did everything, and when I got up, I said, no. I have to figure out. I have to figure out why it's not working. I mean, is it really Minik Chabad or not? The Rebbe did it. I'm sure the Rebbe did it, but I'm not a Rebbe, so that's why. So let's look at first. Let's look at what the Alter Rebbe writes about Tikkun Chatzos. The last big piece on this page, Gimel. The Alter Rebbe writes like this. Al Churban Beis HaMikdash v'Golas HaShechina K'mashkosov Kum Yiroyna B'Layla L'Reis HaShemuris. That a person should, if any Yid that has Yirei Shamayim, should wake up a Chatzos and to cry about the Churban of the Beis HaMikdash.
So what Kumaronu?
That's Kumir B'Lerosh Shmuris, the Shmuris.
No, but Aronu is the sing.
Right.
It's a single cry.
A good question. And this is a Gemara in Brachas, right in the beginning of Brachas. Better to do a little bit with Kavanah. And then you should learn Torah Shabbat until the morning. So everyone knows that the Zohar is all about Tikkun Chatzos. The Alter Rebbe says that even the Gemara talks about this in the beginning of Brachas. Shechatzos Laila Eis Rotzen Kumashkosav Vayhi B'Chatzi Halayla V'Hashem Hika Kol B'Chor, which is a Sheilos this week's Parsha and next week's Parsha. V'gam Omru Kol Oisik B'Torah B'Layla Shechina Keneg D'Shnema Kumi Roini B'Layla L'Reish Shmuris Shivchi Kamayim Libach Noichich P'nei Hashem. Koloim b'shchina shroi eslcha b'reish hashmuras hachatzois alayla. B'meni yochel loka b'chatzois yokem b'reish hashmuras shlishis at the last third of the night. Chol oisk b'toyra b'layla chutz shachesed moshe chol b'yom shanem am yoyim mitzav Hashem chazav alayla shirim mei. V'zeh nikra eved Hashem. A person who does tikkun chatzos is called eved Hashem. Mishkosav kol avdei Hashem ha'im veis Hashem alaylas. V'nochin lahochin tarnegol ha'kitzah mishinasa b'chatzois k'mo yishoysa Rabbi Akiva shemalichem tarnegol. That you should have a tarnagol. The cheaper option today is an alarm clock or your cell phone. Okay. Baalter Rebbe bottom line says that it's very important to do tikkun chatzos, and this is the second sif in Shulchan Aruch, and the Alter Rebbe's Madura Basa. And the Alter Rebbe in the Siddur is very clear about it. The Alter Rebbe writes in the Siddur.
He put it in the Siddur, right?
Put it in the Siddur, and the Alter Rebbe writes. In Tanya, the Alter Rebbe says it's important to a person to take a chatzos at least once a week, Thursday night. And if you look in the Alter Rebbe Siddur, there's a special Ribono Olam you say by Krishma, V'asei Hashem Elokai she'okam b'chatzos laila mamish. And you say it, and then but you're not planning to do it. And the third thing is, I don't say it.
If you don't do Tikkun Chatzos, you don't say it.
Exactly. And then there's another thing. The Alter Rebbe writes in the Siddur, Kol ha'chel asher noga yiras Hashem b'libam, Yosir masva habusha, v'yisasva agudas. That a person should not be embarrassed, and they should get together and should make chaburas that they can do Tikkun Chatzos. So what the Alter Rebbe writes about it so clearly, and we know the Chassidim of the Alter Rebbe used to do Tikkun Chatzos, and that was one of the parts that they used to do as achana for yechidus, a serious Tikkun Chatzos. And we know even Chassidim in the past generation. Here, I found a story. There's a story of a Chassid that his Einikul was just here, the B'zalman Moshe Yitzchaki, who was known to be very sharp, and you wouldn't think that this was the type of guy to do Tikkun Chatzos, but yeah, that guy. You wouldn't think he is a Tikkun Chatzos guy. But yeah, not only did he do Tikkun Chatzos, but the Mendel said that he used to. The Frierdiker Rebbe told him you have to do Tikkun Chatzos. So he said, "Oh, so how am I supposed to do it?" So Frierdiker Rebbe said, "Look in the Siddur. It says exactly what you're supposed to do. You sit on the ground, you say Tikkun Locha Leah, and you say the Tehillim. When you finish, you get up and you learn Chassidus until the morning. Then you daven, and then your davening is going to shine." And Shabbos, where you don't do Tikkun Chatzos, so the Cheshbon HaNefesh that you're going to do Thursday night is going to make that your Shabbos davening should shine. Kaponim, we see that the Chabad history, Tikkun Chatzos, is very, very serious. So the Sheilos is what happened? Where is the Tikkun Chatzos? Where did it disappear to? Emes Tak is brought from the time of the Baal Shem Tov. He said that he was Metak in Chatzi Alayla, the first half, the second half. Tzemach Tzedek says that the Bechiyah has to be quietly and the Simcha has to be begolui. But we don't see people doing today Tikkun Chatzos. So I think the pshat is like this. First of all, I found a moiradika thing. I found that there's an Amaima from the Rebbe and Tovshin Yutes. The Rebbe says these words, that Tikkun Chatzos is not al pidin, only a pikabola, and it's liyachidas gula. It's like a line that flies into Amaima, Rosh Hashanah Amaima, Tovshin Yutes. So you see that the Rebbe really felt that it was something that's not shaykh to every person, only to Yechidas Gula. And when you do something that's not shaykh, then it's just a waste of time.
The Rebbe writes a letter, people should get an idea of Frank Blocher, they should sleep along the night.
So what happened to Tikkun Chatzos? And Agav, there's one more nekuda. There is brought from the Minchas Aloza, he says that even a person that doesn't do Tikkun Chatzos, but because Chatzos Alayla is so important, Tamid Chacham, they're up by night, that they should chas v'shalom sleep. If you're already up 11 o'clock, he said at night, don't go to sleep 11:30. Be up and learn that half hour, like 15 minutes before and after chatzos. So bottom line is, according to Minik Chabad, what should be the attitude to it? So I think the answer is very, very simple. We find in many places in Chassidus where it says that Tikkun Chatzos is associated with Krishma Shalamita. Now, what happened? The Gemara says in the beginning of Brochus that there's a concept of Krishma Shalamita. But if you learn the Gemara, it's just, to keep the Chetzonim. There's, maybe some bad neighbors that could come and break your window, some shadim. But Chassidus understand this Gemara a totally different way. That there's not shadim that are outside the window. We're talking about the shadim that are here.
Inside.
We're talking about these shadim. The shadim is shadim Yehudoim, shadim is shadim Luchroim. We're not talking about those shadim, the outside. We're talking the shadim inside. Chassidus makes the whole thing, Krishma Shalamit, a whole different thing. That this is a cheshbon hanefesh. Just like a person before he passes, when the Shema goes up to heaven, the person says Krishma. That a person every night makes a cheshbon hanefesh. What did I do today? Did I satisfy my neshama? Did my neshama fulfill its mission today, or not? Did I maybe I did accomplish some good things today, but tomorrow I can accomplish much better. They used to say about one of the big chassidim that every Krishma used to cry and cry and cry about the day, and then he used to get up with simcha and say, you know what? Morgen wird sein gut anders. Tomorrow it's going to be a totally different story.
Tonight is good, morgen is better.
Yeah, but this one, morgen wird sein gut anders. Tomorrow is going to be, that's in of cheshbon hanefesh, and every person make cheshbon. In the Maimonim of Chassidus, they associated Krishma Shalamita cheshbon hanefesh with the idea of Tikkun Chatzos. I think what the pshat is like this, that from the Zman of the Baal Shem Tov, you have to realize that, there's a story that the Rebbe says, a beautiful story. One of the first sikhs the Rebbe said, just a beautiful, beautiful story. That there was once a Yid, there was a pogrom. Nebuch, there were pogroms all the time. And after the pogrom, Yidden, where are they going to go to? So they used to go buy back their own table, their own chair that the Goyim stole from them. They used to go and buy it back. So he's buying his own chair, his table, and then he sees this tefillin. So he says the tefillin, but that you have to admit is my tefillin. So he returned it to me. I'm not going to pay for the tefillin. It's a Jewish article. So the guy says, Sam Sapozhnik. I also am a shoemaker. I do things with leather too. What do you think? He says, Sam Sapozhnik. He says, I'm a Sam Sapozhnik. I also do with leather. He told me, pay me for it. So the Rebbe said that there's a concept, a person, Sam Sapozhnik, I'm going to figure out my own way in the serving Hashem. The Eibishter gave us tzaddikim and the doidas to show us a way in avodas Hashem. To show us a way in avodas Hashem. In Bizman Hashas, and the time Rishon B'Yachai, so people didn't have their personal Beis HaMikdash was not destroyed. The Eibishter's Beis HaMikdash was destroyed. So they sat in the ground. They said Tikkun Rochel, Tikkun Leah. The Baal Shem Tov, the Alter Rebbe, and especially our Rebbe, was megala to us. Make a cheshbon hanefesh about your own Beis HaMikdash. Let's talk about your own Beis HaMikdash. Say Krishma Shalamit. Sometimes you sit on the ground, you say Tikkun Leah, Tikkun Rochel, you feel very good about it. But we have to know about our own Beis HaMikdash. Our Mikdash Mi'at, that's in us. And the inyan is that the Krishma is a time, so really Krishma takes the inyan of, I think that's the pshat, why in Chabad, today there isn't such a thing on Tikkun Chatzos. The emes is, however, if a person's taka, that ever brings in a sikh, if a person's up a Chatzos, a Laila, they should open up a sefer of Chassidus, because Chassidus takes you about the Rabban Shalom. What's the inyan of the Beis HaMikdash? Why are we waiting for the Beis HaMikdash to rebuild? The Rambam says, Hashem, that we'll see the Eibishter. When we learn Chassidus, you see Eibishter. Yeah, so if you're up taka at 12 o'clock at night, or it's a few minutes to 12, taka, it's a good idea instead of just rolling into bed. If it's a few minutes to 12, open up. If it's not Chassidus Chabad, a shtickl Musar, taka to learn something about the Eibishter, a shtickl Medrash. If you're up 5 minutes to 12, or if you're up anyway and you're planning to go to sleep 2 o'clock. So the emes says it's not a bad idea. If it's already You see on the clock it's a few minutes to 12. Open up a siddur. The truth is sometimes you go to sleep 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Those that go to sleep late. Already 3 o'clock, it's hard to say Krishma with because you're very tired already. And Krishma is not stam a thing to say. It's a big avodas Hashem. This is talking about avodas Hashem of Tikkun Chatzos. So if you're ready up at 12 o'clock, so say with Kavona, say Krishma Shalamita with a real Cheshbon HaNefesh.
Rabbi, I had the Rabbi Yecheskel Eri, I brought him here a few times, a big Mekubal. For 35 years, he get up every night and said Tikkun Chatzot. I remember in my house, I remember him. In my house, I get up 2 o'clock to go to the bathroom, we're sitting in the floor and the Gemara and learning. So I asked him one time, you're learning, what do you feel, what do you do? He said, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, in the Zohar said, whoever get up at night and cry to Hashem and do Tikkun Chatzot, he has special ability to give blessing to people. And he's for 30, 40 years, he go all over the world and give blessing, and Baruch Hashem, everything.
The truth is, I saw him once coming after Tikkun Chatzos. I saw him walking to davening.
Oh, he saw it.
But it's a person that chas v'shalom. Those that are doing Tikkun Chatzos must continue. I'm only talking now to the guys around the table. I'm talking to myself. There's a guy, as I said, someone was always pestering me. Why don't you do Tikkun Chatzos? So the real Tikkun Chatzos, we have to just to finish off with a cute story. There's a story about they say with a Chaznish. There was a Yid that came to Chaznish, and he said that now that there's establishment of the state of Israel, he used to already 30 years he's doing Tikkun Chatzos. Now there's establishment of the state of Israel, maybe he could stop saying Tikkun Chatzos. This is the Chaznish told. Would they have such a shayla? So he told him, no, you stop to say Tikkun Chatzos. So the Briskerov said, oh, this is the godless of the Chaznish that he didn't kick him out of his house. He said, what do you think? What do you think that now we have a prime minister, Ben Gurion, and thus for 2,000 years that's why we were crying for Tikkun Chatzos. Akaponim, to bring it back to our own self, definitely that the Chatzos Halayla is a special zman. Definitely we have to focus on our own Cheshbon HaNefesh. The Eibus will help that when we rebuild our own little Beis HaMikdash, and that's chus, that the Eibusher will bring take from a yad back the big Beis HaMikdash.